Condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine in joint declaration, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak laughs with US President Joe Biden during the G20 Leaders Summit on September 9, 2023 in New Delhi, Delhi. Leaders gathered here for the annual Group of 20 summit managed to agree on a joint statement laying out shared views on climate change and economic development, but showed the fractures within the group by stopping short of explicitly condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Diplomats had been working furiously to draft a final joint statement in the lead-up to the summit but hit snags on language to describe the Ukraine war. The eventual compromise statement amounted to a coup for the summit's host, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, but still reflected a position far softer those the United States and its Western allies have adopted individually. US President Joe Biden was hoping to convince the world's largest economies to rally behind Ukraine during his two-night stay in India for the summit. He also pressed his case for American investment in the developing world. On Saturday, as the summit was still underway, the leaders agreed to the joint declaration acknowledging the situation in Ukraine while not papering over the group's major divides. All states must refrain from the threat or use of force to seek territorial acquisition, the declaration read, without explicitly singling out Russia for its invasion. The document also stated opposition to the use of nuclear weapons and highlighted the economic effects of the war. In a reflection of the deep fractures among the G20 nations, the statement acknowledged there were different views and assessments of the situation. The declaration earned the praise of the United States. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan called the statement a significant milestone for India's chairmanship and a vote of confidence that the G20 can come together to address a pressing range of issues. The G20 statement includes a set of consequential paragraphs on the war in Ukraine. And from our perspective, it does a very good job of standing up for the principle that states cannot use force to seek territorial acquisition. Still, the language differed from last year's G20 declaration, which stated most members strongly condemned the war in Ukraine. Russia, as a member of the G20, would have to agree on any consensus statement on Ukraine. Russia and China had resisted stronger language in a final statement, making any kind of agreement difficult. No G20 summit has concluded without a joint declaration of some type. Ukraine's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Oleg Nikolenko criticized the declaration. Ukraine is grateful to its partners who tried to include strong wording in the text. At the same time, the G20 has nothing to be proud of in the part about Russia's aggression against Ukraine. Obviously, the participation of the Ukrainian side would have allowed the participants to better understand the situation. The principle of nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine remains as key as ever. The absence at the summit of two of Biden's chief global rivals, Chinese leader Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin, provided opportunities for Biden to make a more affirmative case at the summit, White House officials said as the gathering was getting underway in New Delhi. Biden said Saturday he would have welcomed the presence of his Chinese counterpart at the summit, but that positive outcomes were still possible. Biden was welcomed by the summit's host, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, with a smile and a warm handshake. India calls upon the world to come together to transform the global trust deficit into one of trust and reliance. This is the time for all of us to move together, Modi said as the gathering got underway. Be it the divide between North and South, the distance between the East and West, management of food and fuel, terrorism, cybersecurity, health, energy, or water security, we must find a solid solution to this for future generations, he added. It was a message of unity at a markedly fractured moment for the grouping. Thanks for watching my